Hey, you are listening to Oh Crap Parenting with me, your host, Jamie Glowacki. This is a podcast for conscious parents who drop the F-bomb a lot. Hey, friends. Welcome. So today I want to talk about a couple of things, obviously. I had an aha moment, and it came while I was reading The Gift of Failure. I'm holding it up if you're watching this on like YouTube. And it's by Jessica Lahey, Lahey. I'll link it in the show notes. And this book is right up there with Hunt, Gather, Parent for me. I really encourage you to get it. And one thing I really like is she is clearly supportive of letting our kids fail more. And so I've been talking about this because I really think this is the root of everything, is we're not building the bridges, for the scaffolding, maybe is a better word, for our kids to fail, to take risk. And we have a risk-adverse, anxious, depressed society right now. Kids, especially kids. The number of even suicides in various age ranges is through the roof. And there are many, many reasons. I do think phones and social media are a huge component, but I also think academic pressure. I think that is a huge component. I think too many activities, too many adult-led activities. And across the board, whenever I look at information, I do this with nutrition, I do this with workouts, workout knowledge. I never take just one person. I don't aggregate information, but what I do is I get information from multiple sources, and it's rare, but you will often find everybody saying the same thing. And that's when I'm like, okay, that's something we believe in now because we know this to be true. And the absolute biggest thing right now that's happening with kids is we have to allow them autonomy, to be in charge of their own person, to take risks, and to be unsupervised and not rescued, which means we have to back off. We have to give them more calculated risk. We have to give them unstructured in-person time to play, to work things out by themselves, and this will make things better. We are sacrificing what we believe is safety. We are sacrificing mental health, and it is kicking us in the ass. It's not keeping our kids safe. Is it keeping them physically safe? Yes, but to a huge detriment. They are emotionally unsafe. They are psychologically unsafe. And we have an anxious generation, to quote Jonathan Haidt. If you haven't followed Jonathan Haidt's work, please follow him. He's doing remarkable work. I'm so pissed because I meant to get him on the podcast right before his book released, and now he's like everywhere. He's like on Oprah, so he's not going to come to my puny little podcast. I should have reached out when he first released the book. But the anxious generation is great, and it really is about. And his work is phenomenal. It's about how we're creating these anxious kids who can't make a move and can't fail. And so The Gift of Failure is just an amazing book. And I have talked about some families who have that I know personally, that have readjusted their lives to include more time, more leisure time, but more downtime for the kids, that they can be in person, that they can be experimenting with parents in the kitchen, cleaning the house, becoming more family-centered, right? As we talked about with Chantel. And all of those families recommended this book to me. They said, after reading this, that's what made them make the big switch. And she really goes over in this one chapter, she gives examples of what controlling parenting looks like, as opposed to autonomy-supportive parenting. And I think this is really great. And the reason I want to highlight this is because parenting is a journey, and we're not going to get it right? And there are some things I'm discovering now that I have latched onto with Pascal as a teenager that I totally fucked up when he was little. And some of it is this. And I have every excuse in the world. As a single mom, I was busy. I didn't have time to do all this. But a lot of it was just, we didn't know this at the time. And I can tell you right now, with him as a teenager, him as 18, I have finally locked into it because I love these years, right? So I did not enjoy the toddler years at all. I I look back and, as I've said on, I think every single podcast, you guys are in the trenches, but it was my least favorite time. Like the screaming, the unable to articulate emotions, like now that teenager for me is like where I shine as a parent. First of all, I have information he wants because I work out. And so he's like, Mom, my gym bros say this. So I've earned my street cred that way. But also it is so much easier for me to be curious and calm when he is having a problem, largely because he's not throwing a fit, right? Largely because he's not screaming, crying, throwing things, but also the issues are so much bigger that I know I have to pause. And one thing while I was reading this book, this one word hit me that I thought might resonate with you guys. We know we don't want to be reactive parents, right? We know that a lot of our struggles, I think, really come from trying to gentle parent a little too much, skewing boundaries, and then we explode. And I really think we're not being real with our kids. But also, so many parents that I work with struggle with the pause, right? The pause and like, what do you do when your kid is having big emotions, whether it's over a blue cup or a red cup or over a girlfriend breaking their heart, right? Like big emotions are big emotions, age appropriate. And it's so hard, I think, when they're little to not be reactive. Number one, we get triggered. And my new party line is like, if you feel triggered by your child, that is a you problem. You have to figure out why you're being triggered because your kid is being a kid, right? And it doesn't matter if they have extenuating circumstances, they're still not able to keep that under wraps at 3-4 years old, right? So it's up to us to heal the triggers, not our kids. It's not fixing their behavior so you don't get triggered. No. Fix your trigger. But we know we don't want to be non-reactive, and we know we're supposed to be calm and curious, right? But I came up with a better word, which is neutral, because what I've discovered with Pascal is that I have to stay neutral till I get all the information. And it's slow going. I think the difference between boys and girls in teen years is girls tend to word vomit. At least that's my experience of girls being one. And boys, it's almost harder to get the information out of them. And I think for that reason, a lot of parents think boys are handling shit that they're not handling, when really it takes like a lot of patience to sort of eke out the information and pull it out of them and kind of guide them in a way of being self-reflective without thinking they've got it under wraps. It's very easy with our teen boys to think, oh yeah, they're fine. They're not saying anything. They don't have any problems, but it just takes a long time. And again, this is why I've chosen sort of hobbies that we have opportunities, when we're on the chairlift going snowboarding, he will tell me things because you know why? He can escape. Then he's snowboards. He's an expert snowboarder and a risk taker. So he does different trails than me. So he can like pump and dump kind of, right? He can or dump the information and then escape. He's not like under my gaze. And I have noticed that, and I've been vocal about it on this podcast, that sometimes when he's going through a hard thing, it takes several days to get all the information and we kind of have to revisit it. And I have to say something and then say, oh, wait, I forgot to mention that I heard you say this. And recently we had a great talk. I don't know how to explain it. When they get to be this age, they're so 1 foot out of the nest. He lives with me, but still he's getting ready to launch. And so when you get these conversations, it's just the fucking best. And I wanted to go to bed. I was stretching and he wanted to talk. So I was like, I'll stay up till midnight. And he even said something. He was like, do you want to? And I was like, buddy, let me make it clear. I want to do anything you want with me, anything you want, because I know like my opportunities now are so few and far between. Like, yes, the answer is yes. But he was eking, he was having a hard time with his friend group. And he actually came to the conclusion that maybe these aren't the best friends for him. And he, even though these guys have been solid, especially in the last 4 years, Pascal likes a lot of motivational stuff online. And he was like, yeah, I heard this saying that you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And he's like, I don't know that I want to be the sum of this group. And it took him a long time to kind of come to that succinct thing. And I knew this was a moment that I couldn't give a speech. This was about him and like sussing out some more information. And so I just stayed really neutral. And I was like, yeah, I know that's hard. That's hard. I kind of went through something similar. with my friends. And he was like, yeah. And I just kept doing that, like, oh yeah, that must be hard. And afterwards, I was kind of astounded because I remember when he was little, I remember the idea of validating emotions had kind of first come on the scene, like, when a kid's tantruming and you're like, oh, I can see you're really upset. And I got to be honest, I wasn't buying it when he was little. I was a controlling parent when he was little because I was like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. But it was so useful as a teenager. So I'm kind of reiterating it to you guys because I know we should do this, but it is really important because later it becomes important. So it's good to start the practice now, but it also gives you this time. It's validating that the child is having a hard time, but it also gives you some time to pause for a second, and to not be, number one, reactive in a negative way, but also to not be controlling or try to control the situation. So then you can be curious, and curious looks like, how would you change that? My way, and this is my way as a person, and I struggle with this throughout my whole life because I'm so pragmatic. I really have to take to heart that saying, do you want to vent or do you want to problem solve? Because I am pragmatic and I love solving problems, especially social emotional problems. So I am the person, like, you want to vent to me and I'll be like, all right, let's go. I've got a whole plan for you. Let's get your calendar and I'll figure out how to, well, this is what you should do. And so in that way I can be quite bossy on a personal level. But luckily I have friends who are like, no, shut up, chill out. That's not what I wanted. So I am very forthcoming of that. Even with new friendships, I'm like, just tell me to shut up. I will. But with Pascal, it made me realize like how I didn't want to control this situation. I didn't want to say, well, here's what I did, or here's what you should do. Or, I never liked that kid anyway. Or, you can tell because his parents are kind of not on board. One of his friends, the parents are they're a little out there. And, in my opinion, concerned about the wrong things. How about that? But instead I was like, okay, yeah, like, how do you think you might handle that? Or how this, and it allowed me to be that autonomous, supportive parent in a way that I caught myself doing. I think I've done it throughout his life, but I was like, oh, look at me. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the right thing. And anyway, we had a great conversation and he came up with a lot of solutions. And of course, at 18 years old, you would assume that. But I think this is so important because if we don't get curious, we usually end up being controlling. And when we start controlling, then the kids either get afraid of making mistakes, or what I can see now that I've created in Pascal is he works really hard at things that he wants, for sure. The kid's got grit. He can work hard. He can withstand so much frustration. But if it's something that he doesn't really give a rat's ass about, but needs to be done, he'll be like, I don't know. And he does this thing. I've gotten really hip to it in a way that I wasn't noticing before, which is like shoulder slump. And it's like this defeated thing. And guess who comes in and rescues? Yours truly. Because guess what I do? That's what I like to do. And so I'm warning you because this is a parenting mistake. I can see that I've created something and now I'm trying to sort of go back on it. Right. And I wanted to read you a couple of things just so you can get a handle kind of on what the difference is between controlling and autonomy supporting parents. Okay. So controlling parents take over. Here, I'll just do it. You go play. We have to get to school, so I'll just do it myself when I get home. No, not that way. Here, let me do it. Right? That's me. That's me all over. Controlling parents give lots of unsolicited advice and direction. Oh, that's not the right way to load the dishwasher. Always wash plates before putting them in. Stack the large plates on the left side. Don't leave dishes in the sink and come back later. Do it this way. Do it now. Do it later. Not me being called out. Controlling parents offer trinket motivators in exchange for behaviors, right? So this is rewarding. You get one jelly bean for every toy you clean up. If you walk the dog every morning, I'll buy you new sneakers. If you load and unload the dishwasher for an entire week without being asked, I will get you that video game you've been asking for. So we do that thing, right? I'm not guilty of that. There's one I'm not. Controlling parents provide solutions or the correct answer before the child has had a chance to really struggle with the problem. But honey, 5 times 4 is 20. You just did that down here. Oh, I'll just look that word up for you while you do the spelling list. Give me that pencil and I'll show you. Not like this, like that. Okay. Controlling parents don't let children make their own decisions. Do your math first, then your spelling. Do your homework here at the table where I can see you. You should play tennis rather than baseball this summer. Okay. So that, right, those are things we all do. And I think what happens is those can feel supportive and or we get time crunched. I know for me, a lot of that stuff was time crunched. I was feeling like, there's just things I got to get done. Let me do it myself. There's also things that I enjoy doing. So for example, I like cleaning the kitchen at the end of the night. I listen to a podcast, I wash the dishes. But what has resulted in is that is my job. He thinks that's my job and has even said to me, oh, I'll help you. I'll do the dishes tonight. At which steam came out of my ears. And I was like, you're not helping me. You're doing the dishes that were done by eating dinner, which you took part in. So and I hope that helps that I'm claiming guilt on these too. And I think, again, it's why I'm giving you this warning is because I can see how hard it is when a kid is throwing a fit over the blue cup instead of the red cup. Ridiculous in our adult day and the things that we're worried about. This is a ridiculous thing. And it is so hard to keep our cool. But what I can see is how screwed up it got for me, right? And that doing for kids, I was never guilty of the bribery again, but I'll do it myself here. No, like this, right? And that plays into that. That's not neutral parenting. That's controlling parenting. It's not highly reactive, but it is still reactive. It's not looking at like, how can I be curious about this struggle? Can I help them through this struggle? Because I don't also think the answer is do it yourself and suffer. But I think there are ways we can approach our kids' struggle with that curiosity and that calm. But again, those words might feel hard to attain. I think a better intermediate word is neutral. Can I just stay neutral about this problem and not do anything? Because if I do something right now, it's going to be me and my default way of being. And I'm talking personally here. My default way of being is like, here, let me do it. Here, let me, and just the other day, he had some like onboarding work for this new job and it's corporate. He's a valet, but the corporation is, it's a corporate kind of application process. And he did need help with it, but it was close to when he had to go to work. And so I realized my mistake because I was like, just give me your phone, because I knew I could find the information faster and it was a time crunch. And then later I did say to him, I was like, no, I shouldn't have done that. But part of this is don't back yourself into a corner where it's an emergency and then it's got to get done no matter what. So we kind of talked about it because I was like, I've explained all this to him. Is like, I haven't let you struggle. I take over, but then you haven't learned these things. So it's a practice, I think, for all of us. But I wanted to read you some of the autonomy-supportive parents because they're kind of cool. Not kind of, they're very cool. And these solutions are for all ages of kids. So some of these tend to be things that maybe you're not like working on with your kid, obviously times tables or though maybe if you're listening to this, but you can easily do this even with little kids. So here's one that autonomy-supportive parents guide children towards solutions, not giving answers, right? I know you know what 5 times 3 is. So what happens when you add another 5? Why do you think the cold glass broke when you poured hot water into it? Or try holding the protractor so you can read the numbers right side up. Autonomy-supportive parents allow for mistakes and help children understand the consequences of those mistakes, right? Without freaking out. They're neutral. You're neutral. Hey, it's no big deal that you dropped that glass. I'll show you how to clean it all up and you can remember to carry fewer next time. Oh, just pick out the lumps in your oatmeal and I'll show you how to avoid doing that the next time. getting lumps in your oatmeal. The mop bucket spilled because it's too short to hold the weight of the mop handle. Just clean up the mess and use the other bucket next time, right? So yes, you made a mistake. I'm not going to be reactive. I'm going to be neutral, and I'm just going to, hey, let's clean it up. And next time, here's some options. Autonomy-supportive parents value mistakes as much as success. I'm so proud of you for sticking with that worksheet, even though it was hard for you. What could you have said to your brother that might have helped him understand rather than just throw his toy at you, right? And autonomy-supportive parents acknowledge children's feelings of frustration and disappointment. I get mad too when I can't do something right the first time, but I keep trying until I figure it out. Hey, remember yesterday when I didn't get that job I wanted? That was really disappointing, but I know I'll figure out something else if I work at it. So I understand how frustrating this math can be for you, but won't it feel great when you know how to do it? And lastly, autonomy-supportive parents give feedback. Look down at your buttons. Something looks off. Can you figure out what's wrong? So that I thought was a great one for, kids who misbutton their sweaters. Hey, you forgot to carry the 2 in that other problem. Maybe you made the same mistake on this problem. So like that, we're pointing out the things, not being reactive, but also hey, we're guiding towards solutions. I really like the button one. Hey, something's off there, or, when kids put on their shoes the wrong way and you're like, put your feet together. Does something look strange? I think these are great ways. And again, given that so many kids that I'm working with have some sort of, I feel like a little flavor of that pathological demand avoidance. I also think this plays into that as well, which is sometimes we don't have to just keep telling what to do. And I know that's part of what's burning us out as parents is no, do it this way. Yeah. And we feel like we have to rescue. That feels like good parenting. And throughout the first couple of chapters of this book, again, called The Gift of Failure, she talks about how her son, even after multiple talks and multiple strategies, forgot his homework on the kitchen table. She saw it, and he had just gotten on the bus, and she was like, do I run it back? Do I run it to school? I have to leave the house anyway. And she had this whole big thing. She posted on her Facebook. People were like, oh my God, he's just a kid. Don't you forget things. And so she kind of goes back to this scenario of not rescuing her child. And she was like, no, I have to let him fail at that. And I'll tell you now, a lot of schools have a no rescue policy. If your kid forgets anything, they have to deal with it at school. And that is how you learn, right? And people will be, oh, that's cruel. Your kid forgot their jacket on a snow day. Well, they either go out and freeze, or the teacher doesn't let them out and they learn. If we keep rescuing them, they just don't learn. And I haven't done it across the board with Pascal, but I've done it in enough circumstances that I'm giving you a warning from the future. Don't do it, because again, it's, I don't think Pascal is not part of the anxious generation. There's so much that's stellar about him, but this weakness that he has is something I created. And I know that, and I'm talking to him about it now, and we're trying to rectify it. But if you cannot do it at all, that'd be better. And it just makes kids, it really eliminates some of that wonky behavior that I'm seeing in so many kids, because they feel in control. When you come up with your own solutions, right? This is therapy. Classic therapy does not give you, if you have a therapist who says, here's what you should do, that's a bad therapist. Therapists unless you're in something super crazy. Therapists are supposed to lead, provide the structure, the scaffolding for you to find the solutions yourself. Because when you go, oh, that's my issue, you own it, you get it. When somebody tells you, you may go through the motions and you may think, yeah, that person's right, I should do this, but you don't get it till you get it. And that's it, right? So I hope you get the book. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the book when and if you get it. And as always, I appreciate you guys listening. Rock on and have a beautiful day.
Okay, bye everyone. Just a reminder, if you need additional resources, I have Oh Crap Potty Training. I have Oh Crap, I Have a Toddler. Those books are available everywhere you want to find a book. You can also go to my website, jamieglowacki.com, where you can book private sessions with me, buy any of my courses. Those are really geared towards potty training help. And also I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook anymore, and I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, jamie.glowacki, and I do a lot of lives and usually posting a lot of good information. So those are extra resources for you. And as always, rock on. Have an awesome day.